Let me tell you about a man named David. David is a hard worker, praised for his dedication. But his mind never truly switches off. On Saturday, his supposed day off, he's thinking about Monday's emails. During family dinner, he's mentally running through project deadlines. He feels a constant low-grade anxiety that he isn't doing enough. When he tries to relax, a voice in his head whispers, "You should be doing something productive." He feels guilty for working, and somehow, he also feels guilty for trying to rest. He is caught in a trap of modern-day burnout. This cycle of work, guilt, and exhaustion is something Jesus confronted directly. He did so by intentionally breaking one of the most rigorously enforced religious rules of his time, revealing a profound truth about God's design for our lives. The story is found in the Gospel of Mark, chapter 2, starting at verse 23. One Sabbath Jesus was going through the grain fields, and as his disciples walked along, they began to pick some heads of grain. The Pharisees said to him, "Look, why are they doing what is unlawful on the Sabbath?" He answered, "Have you never read what David did when he and his companions were hungry and in need? In the days of Abiathar the high priest, he entered the house of God and ate the consecrated bread, which is lawful only for priests to eat. And he also gave some to his companions. Then he said to them, 'The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. So the Son of Man is Lord even of the Sabbath.'" To understand why this simple act of picking grain caused such a controversy, we have to understand the Sabbath of the first century. The original command from God was simple: remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy, a day of rest. But over the centuries, religious leaders had expanded this one command into a complex system of 39 categories of forbidden work. It was a suffocating web of rules. In their legalistic view, plucking heads of grain was considered a form of reaping or harvesting, and rubbing them in their hands was threshing. The Pharisees saw a violation of their rules. Jesus saw hungry men meeting a basic need. Jesus' response is brilliant. He references a story from the Old Testament about King David, Israel's greatest king. When David was fleeing for his life, he and his men were hungry. They went to the tabernacle and ate the holy bread of the presence, something only priests were legally allowed to eat. Jesus' point was a masterstroke. If our great King David could set aside a ceremonial rule to meet a fundamental human need like hunger, how can you condemn my disciples for doing the same? He showed that God has always prioritized people over rigid, heartless regulations. And this leads to his revolutionary conclusion: the Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. The religious leaders had turned this beautiful gift of rest into a heavy burden, a cage of rules that people were forced to serve. Jesus restores the Sabbath to its original purpose, a gift for us, designed by a loving Creator for our physical, mental, and spiritual restoration. So, how do we apply this liberating truth to our own lives, where the Pharisees are no longer external figures, but internal voices of guilt and pressure? First, identify your Pharisaical rules for rest. The application. What are the invisible rules that prevent you from truly resting? We all have them. A day off is for catching up on chores. If I'm not productive, I'm being lazy. Rest is something I have to earn after I've finished everything, which, of course, is never. These are our modern-day Sabbath laws that keep us in bondage. The common obstacle, the modern cult of productivity. We have tied our self-worth to our output. We believe our value comes from what we do, not from who we are. Rest feels like a threat to our identity. Example. Take a moment this week to actually write down the guilty thoughts that pop into your head when you try to relax. I should be answering that email. I should be cleaning the garage. Just seeing these self-imposed rules on paper is the first step to dismantling their power. Second, redefine rest as restoration, not just inactivity. The application. Jesus' point is that the Sabbath is a gift for us. Its purpose is to restore us. This means true Sabbath rest isn't just stopping work. It's intentionally doing what fills your soul. It's an active renewal. The common obstacle. We often fill our free time with activities that are just as draining as work. We scroll mindlessly through social media, binge-watch shows that leave us feeling empty, or engage in stressful social obligations. This isn't rest. It's just a different kind of exhaustion. Example: ask yourself, what truly brings me joy and life? For one person, it might be a long hike in nature. For another, it's quietly reading a book. For a third, it's painting, playing music, or having a deep, phone-free conversation with a loved one. Be intentional about scheduling these restorative activities into your week. Third, embrace rest as a holy act of trust. The application: Jesus wasn't just breaking a rule, he was making a statement about who is in charge. By declaring himself Lord of the Sabbath, he was saying that our ultimate security doesn't come from our own frantic work, but from trusting in God's provision. In our 24/7 world, choosing to truly disconnect is a radical act of faith. It's a declaration that the world will not fall apart if we stop holding it up for a day. The common obstacle: fear. The fear of falling behind, the fear of missing out, FOMO. The fear that if we rest, we will be replaced or forgotten. Example: treat your rest time as sacred. Schedule a Sabbath moment in your calendar. Maybe it's 3 hours, maybe it's a full day. During that time, turn off work notifications. Log out of social media. When the urge to be productive arises, consciously say to yourself, I am choosing to trust that my worth is not in my work. I am choosing to receive this gift of rest. The Sabbath is not another task on your to-do list. It is a divine invitation to lay down your burdens, to trust in a provision beyond your own efforts, and to be restored. It was made for you. Your challenge for the week: schedule one non-negotiable Sabbath moment this week. It could be just for 1 hour. During that hour, you are forbidden from doing anything you feel you should do. No chores, no work emails, no catching up. Instead, do one thing that purely and simply restores your soul. Read, walk, listen to music, pray, sit in silence. Do it not to achieve anything, but simply to receive the gift of rest. Let's close with a moment of prayer. Father, thank you for the gift of rest. Forgive us for turning it into a burden of guilt and performance. Teach us to let go of our need to be productive and to simply receive your provision. Help us to trust you enough to be still. Quiet our minds, restore our souls, and teach us the liberating joy of a true Sabbath. Amen. If this message has helped you rethink the idea of rest, please like this video and subscribe to Biblical Wisdom for Modern Life. May you find true, guilt-free rest this week.